All right, so we had a great episode a couple weeks ago with Jazz, Mariana, and Danielle, and we're ready for some more women. But it looks like we might have some extras this week. But we're going to start in Canada. Oh, Canada, I can sing it. Teesha Symes, you're up in Hamilton near Guelph in Ontario. You there, Teesha?
I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, you have now set the all-time record. We thought Jazz did it to us a couple weeks ago for the most pictures sent. Can you just explain what you're, I guess, what are you fascinated with taking pictures before we even start?
I am a picture fanatic. I take pictures of everything for the sole reason. My friends call me Dory from Finding Nemo. I will forget why I walked into a room. I am the most forgetful person in the world, and I love memories. So I take pictures and keep pictures and I win pictures of every moment of my life because I want to have those memories. I want to remember all these memories.
So Jazz sent I think 75 or almost 80 shots. You have now sent 89 pictures. We're going to do our best. We've got a few of the same horses, which we'd love to delve into with you. But, first let's start, I guess, what was your start, I guess, in the industry or with horses, as a kid? What generation are you?
I'm actually third generation. My dad, Charles Symes, trained horses, and his dad, Teesha Symes, owned and trained a little bit. So yeah, I'm third generation. My parents took me to the racetrack, actually, the day I was released from the hospital from being born. Like, I'm 2 days old, on the back of a horse at Amherst Raceway.
So, do you have early memories, in the barn, I guess, with your grandpa or with your dad and the family?
Again, I would love to tell you that I do, but
you don't.
I'm Dory. I honestly don't have any memories. My grandfather passed away when I was 6. So I really don't have any memories other than the pictures that have been shown and I'm lucky enough to have and keep. But I don't have a lot of memories of him at all, really.
But
now, obviously, I have a lot of memories of Dad. I grew up working at the track with Dad and beside Dad. But no, I don't have a lot of memories of my grandfather. So I love to hear stories from people that do remember him and were around when he was around. But I don't have a lot of memories of him.
So what track did you grow up on? That's the question to ask.
Yeah, so my home track would be Truro, Nova Scotia. That's where we went every Sunday growing up. There was a racetrack in Amherst, Nova Scotia. It's about 20 minutes from Spring Hill. That's where I'm from, Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. They didn't really race. I think they did matinee races and a little bit when I was 5 or 6. But Truro would have been where we spent most of our time at this early age. And then we went to Charlottetown. We had a stable, Dad and I, in Charlottetown almost every summer from the time I was probably 10 until probably 14 or 15.
So then I guess when did the responsibility start being handed over to you? Did you branch off and just start grooming for other people? You're eventually going to become a trainer, but where, I guess, did you learn most of your tricks of the trade, I guess, besides your father and some from your grandfather, I guess, till you were 6?
So we went, like I said, we were in Charlottetown for quite some time every summer, and then we branched off when we went to Maine, Dad and I. And we did the Maine circuit. So we did all the fairs, Bangor, Scarborough, just Dad and I. We had a barn of 10 or 15, and we had a lot of fun. Maine's a lot of fun. It's a different way of life. The slogan of Maine is the way life should be, and it hits it right on the head. It's a lot of fun there, and Dad decided one summer, here's 3 or 4, you do them on your own. So I just had one end of the barn, and I did those guys by myself, and he gave me a lot of freedom, and he said, just, you do those ones, help me obviously with the other ones, because he couldn't do it on his own. As much as he would probably like to tell everybody he did, he still needed me. But yeah, he gave me a couple, and I did them on my own, and I just got the itch. I loved doing it on my own, but Dad had suggested, maybe you branch out and go work for somebody else, see how someone else does it. There's so many other perspectives in the business. People do everything different. And he suggested, why don't you go out and work for someone that has some experience with some, really nice horses. My dad, he races claimers, old crippled horses, other people's problems, which is awesome, and it's a lot of fun, and I love to try to fix old broken down racehorses. But it was nice for him to push me out and say, go learn off of somebody else. So the opportunity came, actually. We were in Charlottetown at the time, and we were, Dad and I were fighting. It's always hard to work with your family. And Ian Moore walked in the barn. He was our vet at the time. And he said, I see you guys are getting into it. You want a job? Dad and I are just bickering back and forth at each other. And I said, yes. And Dad roared from the shed rail, no! And I was like, 2 weeks later, I was in Ontario with Ian Moore. His daughters were going back to school, university. It was Shadow Play's 3-year-old year, so 2008, I guess it would have been.
Wow.
And he needed somebody to look after Shadow Play. Well, Chelsea went back to school, so I jumped right in head first. And, yeah, I was in Ontario for like 2 weeks, and then we were on the road, Grand Circuit. Jumped right in head first. Went from the little main fair track right to the Grand Circuit with Ian.
So have you become, at that time, I guess, one of the, I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but upper echelon, kind of caretakers that, kind of specialize in those 1 or 2 horses, or were you just with that one horse?
We still have, there's probably 7 or 8 2-year-olds there too. So I was with the whole barn, but specialized with him. And when he went on the road, I went on the road. We went to, Balmoral. He won the American National at Balmoral. We went to Maywood, Windy City. He won the Windy City. We were Meadowlands, Breeders' Crown elimination. So yeah, when we were on the road, it was just him. But when we were back in Ontario, it was the whole barn. Funny story about that, actually. When he went to the jug as a 3-year-old, I was working for Ian at the time and looking after Shadow Play in Ontario, and he left me at home. He knew that the barn needed to be looked after, and he trusted me to look after the barn instead of inviting me down to go to the jug. And Shadow Play actually went and won the Little Brown Jug that year, and I had to watch from home.
What about these other horses like Rockin' in Heaven, and you got State Treasurer, and like just then you just kind of fell into all these great horses. I mean, what's it like?
I really did fall into them. Like, I got so lucky working with Ian. We had a pile of really nice horses, but those 2 guys are where my heart is. State Treasurer, like, he just took me on a ride that is, I'll never forget it. Like, world records and track records. He set the track record at Dayton. He was world record in the U.S. Pacing Championship at the Meadowlands. Like, that was a ride that I'll never forget. I remember being at the Meadowlands with Shadow Play and thinking, like, oh, how cool would it be to be on that board, like, to win a track record. And State Treasurer did it that year, 47 at the Meadowlands for the U.S. Pacing Championship.
Wow.
Rockin' in Heaven, I looked after him as a groom for Ian. I got him when he was just right off the Harrisburg truck as a yearling. I looked after him for his 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and 4-year-old year with Ian. And I actually got in a car accident. I was T-boned. And I wasn't able to go to Florida for the winter with Ian's stable. And Rockin' in Heaven's owners decided that he wasn't going to go to Florida for his 5-year-old year. So they called me and they said, would you be interested in training Mo? That's what we call him, Mo. And I'm like, wait, what? And they said, well, we heard you're not going to Florida and you're in that car accident. We're just wondering if you would be interested in taking him. He's not known anybody else. His wife like I was his only groom. I think he'd do really well with you. And I was just shocked. I couldn't believe that his owners were going to give me, like, that opportunity. Like, he's a very nice horse. He had a record of 50 at the time. I think he had, like, 480,000 made. My life was just turned upside down in a car accident, and here I'm handed this beautiful horse.
Do you think there's, like, certain connections that people have with certain horses, and they should stay with them throughout their campaigns? I mean, that's what I've learned. They just stay with that same groom or that same trainer, and they just stay on that regime, and they're just brought along with, like, golden gloves, They're just babied through everything.
Absolutely.
And that's the way it should be.
Mama's boy.
Yeah, but they're champion horses, and they're champion bred. That's the way that it should be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it takes a caretaker, yes, they're champion bred, and they're meant to be champion horses, but it takes a good caretaker to make them last. This old boy, he's 9 now. He's been under my care since he was 5, and we are 40,000 away from $1 million. He took a new lifetime record for me 2 years ago. Like, it takes a lot of care, and I think women in the industry are really underlooked because with women. Like, we're in a male-dominated sport. But it takes a kind hand and the extra care for these older horses to last, to make it to be a millionaire.
So you think the caretaking is obviously one of the most important aspects, and women, obviously, we talked about this earlier, and I've, having these discussions with people later in this episode, women make up the backbone of this industry. I mean, they're the ones that are behind the scenes doing that hard work, taking care of these horses.
Absolutely. If you look at, like, through the paddock at Mohawk on any given night, it's 3/4 women. I think, I'm not being sexist, but women are more compassionate. They're more patient. They're more caring. It's not about the sport with us. It's about the animal. It's the animal first, the sport second.
Like if you see, let's say a male, and I'm not going to be chauvinistic here, but you see like a male listed as a trainer, do you think 5 times out of 10 or maybe even more, that second trainer might be a woman, maybe his wife even?
Yeah, maybe, quite possibly.
Because you see a lot of father and, wife, or, wife and mother, or, there could be some type of interrelationship with their family where somebody's taking care of the kids and then, somebody's doing the training and then they switch off and, you hear about things like that in the family. Like, the husband could be listed and the wife could come in and out. And then they've got, like, the next generation of kids ready to take over those responsibilities. I mean, there's all types of things that happen in this industry. And you're third generation. So, is there anything else you wanted to, I guess, bring up before we try to end this episode? I mean, this is just, it's so interesting how everybody has different insight in different ways and how they've been brought up. And it's like, you're right. You were like, you had it was in your blood, but then you were thrown in with these just pristine horses. And given that opportunity, and it just
given the great opportunity, and it's the bond. I think the bonds that you have with these horses. And
yeah, but look at yourself. Look at yourself at your age now and what you're doing as a trainer. I mean, most people don't get these opportunities, and now you're a trainer. And now you're going to teach other people, and that's what it's about. It's about,
Yeah, that's what it's about. I actually have 2 ladies that work for me right now, both riding horse girls that have had no racehorse experience. And I'm, like, throwing them right into it. One woman, she's 17, and I had her out jogging the 3rd day that she was working for me. Like, I'm so excited to have new women in the industry, for them to have opportunities like me.
And just the articulation, how you present yourself, and just all these pictures. I mean, it's amazing, just the experiences you've had until this point in your life. Only better things are going to happen. So is there anybody in the industry, I mean, obviously besides your family members have helped you, is there anybody in the industry besides Dr. Ian Moore and others that you want to give a special shout out to?
Definitely Ian Moore. Casey Coleman as well. I've looked up to her for years. She's self-made. She does so well, but she's so helpful. If you have any questions or just want to pick her brain, she's so open to answer any questions or give advice. And yeah, she's been quite the role model for me. So definitely Casey.
Well, you're up in Canada. We're going to tap into some people down in the States now and see what they're up to on the East Coast. And hopefully we're going to get Rose Cushing with today's Horsewoman. But we really appreciate your time today. I really appreciate it. It took a couple scheduling reschedules, but we finally nipped it. I mean, really, thank you again, Teesha.
Absolutely, Eric. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.